Hello and welcome to Portsmouth This Week. I'm your host, Conley Zani. This show is under the auspices of Rich Rayner, our Portsmouth Town Administrator. Together, Rich, myself, and the entire Portsmouth This Week team are on a mission to build community. We do that by bringing you accurate and timely information about the issues that impact you. We introduce you to the faces, the characters, the leaders in our magical town that we live. I am honored today to have as my guest Chief Brian Peters.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Chief Peters, you are our chief of our Portsmouth Police Department. Thank you so much for being on the show. I know you're an alum of this show. You've been on several times, so you know the whole drill. I appreciate you coming out. I would love to just introduce you a little to our viewers out there. Can you give us a little bit of background and how you became the chief?
Sure, yeah, it's tough to believe that it's almost about 3.5 years now I've been chief. So I came back about 2019, July 2019, so it's coming up pretty quickly.
Right before the pandemic.
Right before the pandemic.
They just threw you a curveball your way,
Yep,
right?
everything seemed to happen at once, but next week, believe it or not, it's 25 years I've been a police officer. So that's my anniversary coming up. So I was a student at Salve. I grew up in Cranston, and I was at Salve, and a couple of people who I was with, hey, let's go apply. I was 20 years old at the time, and went through the process, came out in pretty good shape in the process, and at that time, I like to say, I mean, there's probably about 350 to 400 people that applied back then. Yeah. And so I went through the process, got on a waiting list, and when I was 22, I was hired, and I was here for I've probably been at every place in the police department. So I was in detectives, I was in patrol as a sergeant, I was back in detectives as a detective commander, then deputy chief for a few years, and ended up retiring after 20 years. And about 11 or so months I was doing my own thing, and then I got a call, an opening came up in the Bristol Police Department. So I came back, I was at Bristol Police Department for about 16 weeks.
As the interim chief?
As the interim chief.
Okay.
And then the position came open here, and I guess the rest is history. So
we're the lucky ones.
I've been here now for about 3.5 years, like I said.
And
so
you were coming home, right?
I mean,
this has become home.
It was great. Yep.
That's great. Did you always want to be a police officer? Is that something that was like in your blood?
I did. I think, I think right from high school, it's what I wanted to do.
And what was it about that? Like, what's?
I think I just I wanted to be there when someone needed help. I wanted to be involved in the community. I wanted to be the person that was coming to solve problems and to be there when someone needed something. And I thought the avenue of the police officer was a great profession, and it was something that was well respected, and it was something that I was just drawn to. So right from high school, and that's when I went to college, knowing that that's what I wanted to do, and moving along.
Straight shot.
Absolutely.
That is really awesome. Well, listen, I know you guys have just developed a 5-year strategic plan?
Correct.
Yeah, can you kind of tell us a little bit about the elements of that plan?
Yeah, sure.
And I'm sure it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the second strategic plan we developed. So our first one just ended back in 2021. So we worked on it for about a year, putting one together for 2022 through 2026 inclusive. So we broke that up into 5 different categories. So it'd be enhancing community trust, equipment and technology, facilities, department structure and special services, and then officer wellness and professional development.
Okay, all right. Well, let's talk engagement.
All right.
So
the enhancing community trust. So that's our first one. That's very important to us. You know, I mean, we rely on the community. We want to make sure that we're partners with the community, and it's not something that's just on paper. It's something that we want to do. That we really want to be partners with the community. We want to look to the community because if an incident should happen, or if there's a crime that happens, it's the community that's going to help us through it and help us get that information and be successful as a police department. So we have a few different things that we want to enhance community trust, and one of the things to enhance community trust is accreditation. So right now we're Rhode Island accredited as a police department through RIPAC. And we are moving on to trying to attain national accreditation, which is a big thing.
Wow, that is huge.
And probably there's about a dozen police departments in the state of Rhode Island that are nationally accredited. Okay. So it's not something.
Certainly not everyone.
Absolutely,
not at all.
Not everyone. And it's a big endeavor to do this and to accomplish it. And what that shows is, I mean, we we have over 100 policies, probably about 111, 112 policies, and in those policies are probably about 183, 184 standards. And what we have to show, it's a lot, it's a lot.
All right.
And what we have to show is that we're following those standards, and we have to show proofs that we're following those standards. So we go through the process, and it's not something that's just you attain your accreditation and you're done with it. This is something that once you attain your accreditation, it's continuous. And you have outside agency, CALEA or RIPAC, and they'll come in and they'll review your files. They'll review your police reports. They'll review what you're showing for your proofs to make sure that you're holding those standards. And they're really picky to make sure, and as well they should be, to make sure that we're following those standards to earn that accreditation. And I think that's one of the important things of having that accreditation, because it shows the community that we've had someone else come in and review this, and we've had an outside agency, and we're holding up to the highest standards in law enforcement.
The highest standards.
And that's important to do.
So I'm sure this takes more resources, right?
It does. So it takes more resources, and last fiscal year, and for this fiscal year, I went in front of the council, and that was part of it, is asking. So without the town administrator's assistance, without the council, this wouldn't happen. But I believe everybody recognizes that this is important. This is something that with policing this day and age and the issues surrounding policing, I think it's important to show the community that we are accredited and do have the policies and procedures, and that we follow them in place.
Absolutely, that's huge. Okay, so community engagement.
Community engagement.
Accreditation.
Community outreach. So community outreach would be a second part of this enhancement, and we're doing a few different things. Some of the things that we've been doing is the Citizens Police Academy. So we're trying to get you on board, see if you're going to get on board with the Citizens Police Academy.
Tell our viewers what this is, because I think I want to be in the police academy.
I think you should. So about when Chief Lee came back, so probably about 2014, we brought this back. We used to do it years ago under Chief Seal. Kind of fell by the wayside, and now Chief Lee brought it back, and we've continued it, and it's great. It's a great experience. And it's 10 weeks, one night a week. We're doing it on Tuesdays this time around from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. And it's somewhat where the citizens can see the inner workings of the police department.
Yeah.
They can see what happens. We have administrators, detectives, patrol officers, all teaching a different aspect. Yeah. We do the field sobriety testing, where people actually learn what the field sobriety testing. We have the goggles that they wear that they can simulate different various degrees of not only alcohol, but now we have ones for marijuana that we can simulate that. And,
oh my God, that's so great. And I hear, did you call it FATS training?
FATS training.
What is
yep,
that?
Firearm simulation training simulator.
And that's where the bad guys and the good guys pop up and you
It
shoot
is. So, yep.
them.
So we get that on loan from the trust, and well, I don't think that's exactly how that works, but
okay,
so it puts you in scenarios. So we get on loan from the Rhode Island Local Trust. Will let us borrow it, and when our officers go through it, and they have their own scenarios, but we like bringing the citizens through it as well, and it's worked well the past couple of times we've done it, and it's a simulator that's kind of goes around you, where you have the screens, and it puts you in live scenarios that happen here in Portsmouth, that happen around the country, and it gives you that opportunity to make that split-second decision. Are you going to use your firearm? Are you going to use just verbal commands? Are you going to use one of the other tools that law enforcement have, either the OC spray or a taser? And it kind of puts you in that scenario where you have to kind of make that situation. So
I can't wait to do that. I know I will fail miserably. Like all the good guys will go down. But that sounds so fun to try. And
it is.
And really to develop, like you said, kind of that empathy for what you all go through, those split-second decisions, right?
It is, and we like it, and we do a lot of things like that, and it's just to engage the community, and it's just nice, and we get them in there, and every time we've had one, I think most of the times, I know you had some alumni that you've talked to recently, they all love it. They think it was a great experience, and we enjoy doing it. And what I say every year is, it's not something that we have to push our officers to do. When we send out an email that says, hey, Citizens Police Academy is coming up, we need volunteers, within seconds, we have dozens of officers saying, I'm in, we want to be part of it. So,
and I know you go out to the schools too and do the goggles with the...
We do. So one of the new systems, we partnered with the County Prevention Coalition and the Portsmouth Prevention Coalition, and we were able to purchase a Sydney go-kart, it's called, and it's a driving simulator to simulate with alcohol impairment. So one of the things that we do is we're trying to engage the students, and we have this go-kart, and we go up to the high school, and we've been using that health classes, and we hope to kind of expand that for prom season and graduation.
Yeah.
And they go through this course around there, and we can change the varying degrees of the alcohol level to kind of get that message across that they're not invincible, that they can't combine alcohol and drugs and get behind the wheel. And it's another way for us to engage with that
My
community.
son did it, so he's a senior this year, and so super relevant. He thought it was really incredible.
Great.
Really, really, like it was impactful. He came home and he talked to me about it. And
Well, that's great, and that's what we want. We want people to talk about it and get it engaged. So that's great to hear.
Yeah,
Perfect.
now I'll tell him I'm going through the police academy. I get to do it too.
Good. Yeah, we'll see. We'll get that on the list.
Well, listen, before we leave police academy, if somebody wants to do it, go to your website.
Yes, absolutely. Go to our website. We're on our Facebook page. We have the link as well. So
that's where I
go
saw
there.
it,
We have the applications. Applications are going to be due soon, within the next couple of weeks. So get on board, and we'll get.
I'm saying it right here. I'm coming.
All right, we'll hold you to it.
Okay,
All right.
awesome. And then before we get off of community engagement and move on to another section of the strategic plan, I want to give you guys a shout out too. I think most people are super aware of the graffiti that was happening, especially in my neck of the woods in Fence Point. And you all were so amazing coming out. We had a neighbor that wanted to repaint that red train bridge entrance, and you all made it happen. Like making that safe for her to do so, and like really spent an enormous amount of time. And it felt so good as a neighborhood to be supported. Like that kind of thing goes a long way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for saying that. And we try. I mean, that's quality of life issues, and we get upset as a police department when someone does that as well. You know what I mean? Just it ruins the neighborhoods and people's lives, and so thank you for saying that.
Yeah, well, thank you. All right, so listen, community engagement, technology.
Technology.
What does that mean in the police world?
So technology is a few things. So obviously the vehicle replacement plan is part, because equipment and technology is part of it. So the vehicle replacement plan is something that we've been working on for years, and we went through a period where, I know Rich Rayner said it for council meetings, different things, where Chief Lee went to him and someone's foot went through the floorboard of a vehicle. That's how old the vehicles were, and they may look good on the outside, but the vehicles were falling apart. And we've put a plan in place that we're continuing, and to get vehicles that are safe and get the officers to the scene, because you got to remember that's the officer's office that has the computers in there that connect to the FBI and the national databases. It connects to dispatch. It has for issuing tickets and different things. The printers are in the vehicle, so it's an expensive endeavor, and we appreciate the town administrator and the council support in getting this forward. So that's one of our, including the 5-year plan, is the vehicle replacement plan. Also included in that is body-worn cameras. So body-worn cameras, we were fortunate that the state was able to get money, and all our officers are going to be outfitted with a body-worn camera. So the cameras are in, they're not actually in use yet. We're having our officers are currently being trained on them, and we'll be having a slow rollout on that. So within the next probably 30 days, you're going to start seeing officers on the road having body-worn cameras. And that's important for accountability and transparency. We want to show that we're transparent, that we're accountable for our actions, and we're going to have these cameras and to see what we see. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the things. So we have that for technology.
How about the restraints? There's a new restraint system, right?
Sure. So we have what's called, it's a bowler wrap. So we have that, and I believe we were one of the first in the state to get a bowler wrap. And what a bowler wrap is it's another less lethal option. And what we wanted to have is, as technology increases and as law enforcement advances, there's got to be other ways besides using your firearm and taser in different situations. And one of the things, especially with mental health cases, is we want to make certain that we're able to bring someone and get the person the assistance that they need. And at times, situations do become violent, and we don't want to hurt the person involved or have the officers become hurt involved in the process. So what a bowler wrap is that it's a Kevlar cord that gets ejected, almost looks like a
net?
It's almost, no, it's not a net. It's a cord that kind of wraps around a person's torso.
Like a lasso.
To immobilize them. I guess so. I guess you might compare it to almost like a Batman tool,
Okay,
or
Batman. Okay,
like a
yeah.
Batman tool that launches out, and it comes out very, very quickly,
Yeah.
and it wraps around the person, and it just gives us that time that we can get the individual under control so we can get them the help they needed. And when we looked at it, we reached out to the mental health professionals. We ran this tool by them. We said, hey, here's a tool. What do you think? Give us your thoughts on it. So we work with them
Lots of
before we
collaboration.
implement it in it. And so that's one of our things that we want is any more tools. We want to always be looking for
Yeah.
other avenues and other ways that we can do our job safer and better for the public.
Speaking of mental health, are you finding in general, like those sorts of cases are coming to your attention more
We are.
often? I know I didn't say bring any data, but
Yeah.
like maybe off just your instinct.
We are. It's, I mean, years ago, if you had a mental health call, it might be once a month. Now we're doing several a week. It's definitely a huge part of our calls for service. In fact, yesterday I was with Newport County Mental Health, and we're working on a collaboration with them where they're going to be rolling out. They receive some grant money where they can have mental health professionals actually respond to the scene. They have vans that they got money for. So we're trying to reinvent how we do things.
Like how you engage,
How
that
we
initial
engage.
engagement.
Exactly, because the way we look at it is just the police is not the answer. Having the police only involved, and we want to help get the mental health professionals and get them right there at the scene when it's happening. Have them go out, and sometimes there's engagement that needs to happen, but it probably is better off having a certified mental health professional being the one that does that initial thing where they could get them the help they need rather than the police be the ones doing that. So around the state you're seeing it, we're trying to engage, and that's something that's definitely on our minds that we're
wow.
trying to improve.
Wow, huge.
Yeah.
All right, so facilities?
Facilities, the big one we have is...
The station's amazing.
No, it is. It is great, and we're very thankful for the taxpayers, and every day we go in there, we're thankful. And that building's going to
beautiful.
last for generations, I mean, it'll outlast our lifetimes. One of the things, though, facilities that we're lacking is Prudence Island. So we have a whole, on Prudence Island, there's no facilities for our officers. So we have a Prudence Island public safety officer over there, works out of his home.
Okay, I was going to say, like,
If
if someone lives there.
Yeah, if someone gets arrested, they have to come across on the boat. We go over there on the boat. They come across the boat here. They have to be processed here. In the middle of when there's a hurricane, tropical storm, we send officers over there to stay over there, whether it's to
keep people safe.
Exactly, to keep people safe in the event of an emergency, because during a hurricane or a tropical storm or something severe, we wouldn't be able to get across the bay. So we station officers over there during the middle of these storms. We had a tropical storm a couple of years ago, but there's no facilities for them to be in. So they're actually in people's houses, staying there during it.
Right.
So
it's not certainly not ideal.
it's not ideal.
Right.
And so what we envision is we're trying to see what we can do, either trying to get grant money because of the uniqueness of Prudence Island, where police have to respond, and you're coming from a mainland to an island and traveling by boat as your backup. We believe that there could be grant money, federal grant money, to kind of get some facilities over there. But the town has to look at it as a bigger picture, you know what I mean?
Of course,
Because
yeah.
fire, police, DPW, I'm sure there's a need for everything over there.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're kind of looking at
Some
now.
infrastructure, yeah.
And it's in our 5-year plan, we have to have something so an officer has a place to use the restroom facilities. An officer
Yeah.
has a place where we can process someone, where we don't have to remove someone from the island for simple crimes, or if there's an incident that happens, we have a facility where we can detain someone. And also,
Do the people that live on that island, do you find that they are wanting all of this? Is this welcome, or is this?
well,
I'm just curious.
I think they want and appreciate the services.
Yeah.
And they're deserving of the services, and part of that is we need to have the ability to provide them with those services. So part of that is we need to have a place for officers to provide those services.
Yeah,
Just what's been working hasn't, even simple things as far as giving out, they have go-karts that they can, golf carts I should say, not go-karts, golf carts that they can register as vehicles over there. The Prudence Island safety officers meeting them at the dock doing it. It's just not an efficient process that we're trying to improve and modernize. So
that's on your mind.
One of the 5-year plan.
All right, all right, beautiful. What else is on this strategic plan?
So Department Structure and Special Services. So we've kind of met half that goal already. So
what does that mean?
So believe it or not, we didn't have supervisors on all the time, and we had it where up until recently August, you could be a 3-year patrol officer and be in charge of the shift. And that's been going on for generations, and it's something that we never modernized. And in police work in the year 2022, 2023, you need someone who's a trained supervisor to deal with issues that happen. And we were able to work with the town and the union to make that happen. So now you have a trained supervisor that's on duty 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So when situations come up in Portsmouth, that you have someone that has the knowledge that can make those initial calls, and it's for the good of the citizens that live here, it's liability for the town, and it's just a better off scenario. So we've gotten that accomplished. That was part of the plan.
Great.
One of the other things that we have on the plan is a traffic division. So we recognize, and most of our complaints have to deal with traffic issues. And
like the roads?
The roads on it, yep, absolutely. So as far as speeding complaints, dealing with aggressive drivers, and despite our best efforts, I think we had over 8,000 traffic stops last year here in Portsmouth. That's a lot for a community our size.
That's one a person, right?
I don't know, but it still doesn't get where we need to do, because these officers, I think people are surprised when they hear there's only 3 or 4 officers on the road at a time, and they get diverted into other areas.
Of course they do.
Calls, and we just can't have officers dedicated to traffic. So what we have in the 5-year plan is to explore that, to present it to the town council, and if the town council sees that that's somewhere the direction the town wants to go to, then we would want to implement a traffic division where we could get grant money, seek COPS grants, to get a couple more officers that would solely deal with traffic complaints. You figure East Main Road and West Main Road, they're in the 20,000 vehicles per day category.
Right.
It's a lot of people traveling through town.
And it's just getting more, right?
It is.
That's the thing.
It is. So we're out there. I think citizens ought to know we're out there. We're stopping cars, but we're trying to do more we can to get more visibility, get more officers out there, and this is one of the ways that we're trying to explore.
Yeah. Yeah, and these are all linked to all these prongs of your strategic plan, because that increases community engagement, and they're all connected, right? Like,
Absolutely.
So you do that, and everybody kind of loves you more.
We hope so. We're trying.
Yeah, no, clearly. And then there's a 5th element, right?
Officer wellness. So
tell me about that.
Yeah. So as you see in this day and age, we're trying to focus more on officers' mental well-being, physical well-being, and I think. Around the country, you're seeing officers and the new generation of officers, and we want to be able to meet their needs, the physical needs, the mental health needs of the officers. And what I say that is even here in Portsmouth, so 25 years ago, the mentality towards police officers was that when you were involved in seeing some horrific things and things that happened, and they happen here in Portsmouth as well, you were trained to kind of have what's called, they used to refer to as a little black box, that you would kind of just shove everything into your own personal little black box and keep that in there. Well, as we know, it doesn't work out. That's not something that you should be doing. It ultimately comes out. So what we want to do is we want to find ways to increase officer wellness, mentally and physically, and having things that we can do. So we have peer support counselors that we've established. So when there's an officer that's involved in a situation where it was something that they saw or were involved in,
and they need to process.
They need to process it. So we have that in place. So we have peer support here, and the state's doing a great job is doing it as well for.
That's wonderful.
For peer support. We also want to do career support. So it's a tough job, you know what I mean? And it's tough doing it and navigating. Like I said, we have 111 policies, and we have everything that we're responsible for, and the pressure sometimes that is put on law enforcement by the community and the citizens, and it's difficult for someone to process that. So we have a mentor program that we created in the department. So when we have officers that are just getting on, we have a senior officer that once they pass their 12-week FTO period, in the past, it would be like, okay, you're on your own if there's any issues, but now we have a mentor program where we have senior officers that someone that's, hey, how's things going? Any questions? What's come up? Have you experienced this? And just something that they can, a person that they can kind of go to kind of run things through. That's not a supervisor, but just kind of get them through, and if they're having any issues with processing stuff, it's kind of that step of mental health and mental well-being. So we have that in place, and also, we want to bring the families involved. So part of that is trying to get family support. And we recognize that no officer is successful without their family behind them. And we want to have plans in place and measures in place to include the family. So part of that is like this year, Christmas. We had a Christmas event where we have the family involved. Halloween, where they can bring in their own kids and have it. And it's important to have the family behind them where they can see where the officer works, and we can see what the officer does and who they're working with, because if your family life is good at home as far as your relationship and how they feel about police work, it's going to make that officer a better officer and be able to handle things better, appropriately, and for the citizens.
Versus if there's a tension about it,
for
whatever reason.
For whatever reason, just not understanding what happens. So we're working on all that. One of the things I did want to talk about is back to the youth and the youth portion of it with our engagement in the community is a youth leadership camp that we have coming up, one of the adventures.
Right,
so,
right. Tell us about that.
I want to get that out. That's brand new this year. We are looking at the SRO is going to be organizing that. And that's a chance where we're going to try to get, we're going to have 2 sessions in July, and we'll be posting that very soon. And we're still trying to finish out the final details, but we want to keep it as low cost as possible. And what we want to have is a chance for the youth to engage with the officers. And they kind of have a few things, and I'll look quickly, but one day is going to be courage, where they're going to focus on courage. Teamwork's going to be the second day. Supportive issues are going to be the third day. Problem solving is going to be the fourth day. And each day they're going to
I love it.
Each day they're going to work on those categories, and they're going to do team building exercises where it's the police officers in that 9 to 12 age group is what we're looking at.
I was just going to say, what age?
Yep,
Can I come?
You come and observe. You come and observe. So
Just want to be at the camp.
I don't know if you could pass 9 to 12, but we'll see. So that 9 to 12 age group is what we're looking at, and the final day we're going to go to the ropes course in Connecticut. So it kind of all builds up to that, and it's a final thing, and we can't take credit on ourselves. I learned about this from Bristol when I was in Bristol as the interim police chief, and they did that over there. I thought it was a great thing.
Yeah.
They were already doing it before I got there, and last year we sent our officers over to Bristol. Bristol was kind enough to have us there to observe what they did and learn from it. So we're going to take what we learned from that. We kind of made it our own, and we're going to go with that, and we hope it's going to be a successful thing. And it's another way to engage that other age group with the police department.
I think you should be the chief collaborator. I mean, it's really amazing the programs you're working with people on and bringing it all together. Thank you.
We tried. And I got a great team behind me. It's not just me. We got a bunch of great officers at the police department, so much of the success of the department is all on them.
I love that. Hey, thank you so
much
for being on this show. I hope you'll come back soon.
All right, great. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
My guest this week has been Chief Brian Peters of the Portsmouth Police Department. We'll see you next time on Portsmouth This Week.